My name is Arthur McWhorter, and I have a message for all of America. My America, the America I know. Every man, woman, and child. It does not matter which race you belong to. White, black, Asian, Latino, etc. It doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter if you have hair or no hair. It doesn't matter what religion you belong to or if you do not have a religion or not. It does not matter. You are America. You are my country. And there's a red flag, a red warning that you must all understand that's going on right now. There is a push to defund American police, which is a push to defund law enforcement. No matter which way you show it, that's what's going to happen. And that's what our enemies want. It cannot happen. And I tell you why. Because to do so would end law and order. What does that mean? That means that whatever law you have written down, whatever law you want to write, will have no use. It will be completely useless. It will be words on paper. It will be fantasy unless you have someone to enforce that law. It is illogical to defund the police. It is a fantasy of the inept. We must not defund the police. Again, if you have no one to enforce the law, all the laws that are written, every law that you may want to write to change society is useless. Who's going to enforce it? You? There's something going on here that you must understand before we go on any further in life. You must ask yourself, why do people want to defund the police? And if anyone asks you, you must tell them what's going on. It is important that you know the truth so you can spread the truth. So look what's been going on in our nation. Connect the dots if you can. You can sit and watch a football game, and you can sit and watch a movie. You can listen to this. It's not going to take all day, but it's going to change life in this country. If you act on it, or if you refuse to act, life in this country will be changed. There's a push a couple years ago about letting people out of prison because their lives were not happy. They didn't have every opportunity when they committed violent crimes. So they want to empty the prisons. Point number one. After that, what do they want to do? After that, they want to let criminals who are charged with a crime, who have a history of criminal activity, and who have committed a crime and are on the way to be judged by a court, they don't want them in prison. They want them out on bail. So there is no bail. Why would they do that? What does that have to do with ending racism? What does emptying the prisons of criminals, what does that have to do with stopping racism? And then there was a push to have riots, and people in one area over here are doing what? They're protesting against racism, which is a good and noble thing, which is a godly thing. Because when there's something wrong, you stand up and you speak against it. But then you have people on this side coming in and creating chaos, riots, destroying property, destroying people's businesses, disrupting normal behavior, normal society, and attacking people and harming police officers and civilians. So what does that have to do? How is that going to end racism? How is it? It has nothing to do with racism. It's a opportunity for people to come in and weaken the government so they can change the government. Next point. People want to defund the police. They want to get rid of their opposition. When we cut the salary of police officers, which is all defunding the police is going to do, you're going to reduce the amount of police on the city streets, in the state, in the federal government. Now, I don't know anybody in their right mind. Most people want to reduce their taxes because they think it would help them. Nobody ever said we want to have less police officers on the streets. Because the logical thinking was if you have more police on the streets, you have a more of a success rate of ending crime. So why would anybody in their right mind want to reduce the amount of police officers on the streets? Okay? When you have nobody to enforce the laws are meaningless. You have no laws. You have no laws. When you have nobody to enforce the law, anybody and everybody who wants to walk in your neighborhood, your city, your state, if they want to rape somebody, it's against the law. So who's going to catch them? Who's going to stop them? Who's going to prevent them? Murder, who's going to stop them? Slavery, sex slavery, who's going to stop them? Nobody cares. There's no police to care. And when you don't pay for a police department, they're not going to stay there and work. Are you going to go to work for no pay? Are you? Are you going to volunteer for the police department? No, you will not. Connect these dots. People are burning down churches, vandalizing churches, and tearing off the heads of statues, beheading statues. Beheading statues, who does that? Who likes beheading? Who has a history of that? There are things going on that you have to connect. You have to understand and look at the broad picture. This isn't a game. You have people in public offices right now, they're sworn in, who want to defund the police. Defunding the police is not an option. You cannot defund police. When you defund the police, what happens? There's no police. There's no law enforcement. There's nobody to protect you, your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors. Who's going to protect the senior citizens? Who's going to protect the sick? Who? You? We have men and women out there doing the job every day. Every day. And you can sit where you are because they're out there doing their job. As soon as they're gone, you know what's going to waltz in here and try to take over. So if you have communists, socialists, and what else? Marxists, racists, Nazism, trying to take over your government, how is that going to help you? You know they will. That's what's feeding all of this. This is what's feeding all of this. You must stand up and stop them. And they can be stopped. You have sworn in government officials, which means you accepted their application, you hired them, you pay them money. They're not volunteers. Okay, you pay them money, and then you, through your taxes, you pay and give them a budget with which to do the job that you tell them to do. And now they want to stand up and defund the police. They must go down on the local level, on the state level, on the federal level. Why? Because they gave an oath to say that they're going to protect you. And now they don't want to enforce the police department. They don't want to back them up. They don't want to give them the money that you want them to have. So they don't want to protect the people, the citizens. They don't want to protect you and your family. Why? Because now you're not important to them anymore. You're not important to them as this group over here who has some power, a loud voice, and they think that they're organized, so they want to tap into that power. Or they already have. Either way, they have to go. You understand? They took an oath. What oath? Well, Google the oath that people take in office. What's at the top of that oath? To protect. To protect, to serve the people. And they listed everything they want to do in their campaign slogan. You know, they want economics. They want better economics. They want better education. They want better medicine, more access to medicine. They want social programs. They want all these things. But what's at the top of the list? To protect them. So if you have no law and order, nobody to enforce the law, none of that's going to matter. And none of that's going to happen. Because once the police are gone, it's all over. Okay? Nobody's going to care about economics. Nobody's going to care about education. Nobody's going to care about the rest of society. Because I'm going to be too busy like you, trying to cover my back and watch out. Because every criminal is going to be on the street and is going to be out of prison, and they're going to do whatever they want, and nobody's going to stop them. These people who are in elected offices have made a promise. They took an oath. They said they were going to do one thing, and now they're doing something else. And they know what it means. They must go. There's no excuse. There's no I'm sorry. They have to go now. All right? You must stand up as a nation, whatever background you have. You must stand up as a nation and demand their resignation. You must accept their resignation and demand they leave office immediately. Because if this goes on, you know what's going to happen. And if you don't know, I'll spell it out. They must go now. Don't wait for an election. Don't wait in time to see how this is going to go. You know how it's going to go. They have to leave now. You must tell them that America understands that law enforcement, law and order is the most important portion of a society. And without it, society is corrupted and there's chaos. There's no order. So you either have order or you have chaos. And you're not going to survive in chaos. It's not going to be like a movie. It's not going to be like a movie. You think your life is hard now with this pandemic. You wait till there's no police. You must stand up as a nation and demand the resignation of anybody who is sworn in office right now for dereliction of their duty and for fraud. Because if they're here, like they say, to protect America, they're not doing it. And it was just a lie because they're not doing it now. They're planning on defunding police, or they think it's okay to defund police. They must go. Just tell them you accept their resignation, to leave office now, that whoever's second in charge will take over, and then when election time comes, you set up elections and then you vote. If there's a number 2 person, that person takes over. That's all there is to it. They keep their pension and get out. And we don't want to hear from them anymore because we know what they're all about now. They've proven it. They've proven it. Do you not understand? Do you not understand what's going on here? We can't sit around like we're watching a movie or a football game or a baseball game and wait for the commercial till we can get up and take a break. This is life. Life goes on 24 hours a day. And you do not know darkness yet until the day that there is no police enforcement. Now this is a call for you to do something that's nonviolent, that's effective, and that will lift up your country. And you tell those politicians that when they drive past Arlington National Cemetery that they do not look at that cemetery. They turn their head because they do not deserve to look at those soldiers who died on every continent in every war to protect this nation. And now they're going to sit there and let it be taken away. We ain't going down like that. That's not it. That ain't going to happen. You stand up and do what you have to do. Those men and women suffered and bled for your children, and now you must stand up and take their back. You must back up them soldiers, and you must fight a nonviolent way to protect their children. We've got men and women overseas and continents all over the place, standing guard, protecting you. And they have to be there worried about their country back home. We all take an oath, we all salute the flag, and we send soldiers messages of support. And now we will turn that support and respect into action in a non-violent way. What I'm asking you must be done. What I'm asking you is not violent. What I'm asking you to do is to defend your country. Because we have not yet begun to fight. We will fight for this country. We will fight for the people of this country. This is what needs to be done. Why? Why? Because when the police are gone, you got 2 weeks before people run out of food and water and medicine. And then it's all over. This is what comes next. Okay? This is what comes next. Whoever's in charge, they're going to take over control. You think you're a politician in a little town? You're done. You're done. They're going to take over, and you ain't going to do nothing about it if you're a politician. You ain't going to do nothing about it. They're going to walk in there and take over everything. If they cared about your city, if they cared about your people, why would they destroy things? Why? Because violence is all they have, and that's all they have to offer. They're going to waltz in there and do whatever they want. And then the drug people, which you've been trying to get rid of, they're going to take over, and they're going to fight the anarchists for control. And then somebody else is going to fight them. In the meantime, you have nothing. You have nothing. What, you going to go to work? There's going to be no work. People are going to be afraid to go to work. Why? Because they don't know what's going to be back at home when they come back. They're going to be afraid to leave their homes. You ain't got no food? Where you going to go to the store? What store? They've taken control of everything already. You need medicine? You go to the drugstore. There ain't no drugs in there. There's no medicine. There's no bandages. There's anything of importance is gone. And you're going to pay through the teeth to get it, if you can. And then you will do anything they want, because you have no food, no medicine, no security. You want to go to the ATM machine? There's no ATM machine. You go to the bank, there are no banks. You got no medicine. You're going to wait for e-scripts to send you something in the mail. The mailmen aren't going to come to your neighborhood. There's no police. They can't even protect themselves from pit bull dogs. So you're going to hang on until you can, and you're going to try to get out of town. Oh, all the roadblocks are there. Remember, not too long ago, there was a riot in the city. House caught on fire. Police, the ambulance, and the fire department are trying to get to put the fire out, but the street's blocked by protesters because there's no organization. So the fire department can't get to the house. The house burns down to the ground, and everybody in it is lost. It's already happening. Why? Because there's no law and order. There's not an organized society. What do you think is going to happen next? When it's all said and done, they're either going to have to stay there and die or survive and leave. And then they're going to go and walk because there's no cars, because there's no gasoline. You're going to walk into another city in the suburbs trying to get help, protection, food, medicine. And every city across this nation is going to have chaos. Do we really want that? No. You don't want it for yourself, and you don't want it for nobody else. Do you not understand? This is important. Everybody that you know has a picture on their wall in their dining room or living room of a soldier, sailor, man or woman, black or white, Asian, Hispanic, in their house, who served with honor and dignity in the military for this country. They fought because they cared about you. We must honor them. We must respect them. We must take up the fight. They are trained soldiers. They took an oath too. At the beginning of the oath that they took was to protect the Constitution and the people of the United States of America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. They kept their oath. These people in government, some of them are not keeping their oath. The ones who are in government now and who are not keeping their oath and letting their city be destroyed, and it says it's acceptable to defund the police, or they even have started proceedings to explore defunding the police, they must go now. You must, as a nation, on the federal level, the state level, and the local level, accept their resignation on the grounds that they refuse to keep their oath and that they must go. You hired them, you fire them, and you just rehire somebody else who's going to do the job. It's that simple. It's that simple. It happens every day. Every day. And the business goes on. And everything goes back to normal. We will not let this nation fall apart. If we say we love our brother, if we take the oath of allegiance, then everyone in America must think about those who are suffering in other states of America. Racism is racism. And hear me from my heart. Racism is against the laws of God Almighty. Racism is against the laws of mankind. Racism must stop. And I will do everything in my power to help you. We can do that. But the people who are protesting against racism, they want to do good. But what's going on is someone is coming in and they see a softness and they are attacking this nation and trying to destroy it as best they can and make it weak so they can walk in here and take over. That is not acceptable. And everything that I listed, they say they're doing it because they're against racism. They're not. Because if they were against racism, they wouldn't tear up and destroy and hurt people in those communities right now. They wouldn't do that. They're putting a heavier burden on black people. They don't care about them, and they don't care about you. The fight against racism will continue, and we will be victorious because God is with us. We will work together, but nothing's going to happen. Because nothing's going to happen when you have Marxists and communist, socialist, Nazism, and Klanism try to weaken this country. You understand? Nothing is going to happen because they really don't care. And whatever law that you want to write against racism will be useless if you let them win, if you let them take over, because nobody's going to enforce it. And by that time, America is going to be so chaotic, nobody's going to have the time to think about anything but basic survival. That is the truth. It is illogical to defund the police. You do not know logic if you want to defund the police. You are not thinking clearly. You are not looking at the big picture. You are not looking at the future. You are not reading history books about what happened in the past. Look up all those things. And look up race, look up the Ku Klux Klan, look up what? Look up socialism, communism, Marxism, Nazism. How did they take power? When you look it up, don't don't read about and worry about what they say they're going to do. You read the accounts of history on how they got power. How did they brainwash a country? Taking away their guns, taking away their power, starting chaos, getting one group angry against the other, and then when they're weak, they swoop in, and that's it. And speaking of guns, add this to the points of list. Remember when they said, oh, there's so much violence, you must take away your handguns. You don't need a handgun. And America said, we need our handguns. Well, you have rifles. No. And then they attack rifles. You don't need rifles. You don't need semi-automatic rifles. But you don't need an automatic handgun and an automatic, semi-automatic handgun, semi-automatic rifle to kill a deer. Just call the police. And now what? Now they want to get rid of the police. Do you see the pattern? Do you understand? Do you know who your enemy is? There are people in this world who see and remember. And you must be among the ones to know the truth, to give a thought, and to act on it. That is what must be done. In this generation, we are called to protect America from within. That must include you, and you, and you, all of you. It doesn't matter what color your skin, or your heritage, or your previous national ancestry. It doesn't matter. You're all Americans. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or Asian or Latino or whatever, etc., etc. You are all human beings. You are my brothers and sisters. You are my countrymen and women. It doesn't matter how tall you are, your shape, whether you believe in one religion or another religion or no religion at all. Whether you're rich or poor, it doesn't mean anything. The main thing that you are America. And we live here in a fractured society, sometimes a society that needs a lot of help, but we can't throw it away. We are worth more than that. Whenever we've had a problem, we solve the problem. If there's no order, no one can solve a problem. There must be law and order, or you have no society, you have no civilization, you have no country, you have no future. You must do what you must do. Again, this is a nonviolent way to fix a potential disaster. All you have to do is look up in the clouds and see a storm is coming. Isn't that what Christ said in the New Testament? Can you now look up in the sky and see a storm is coming? You must prepare yourself. This storm can be prevented. Remember those words? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. We say those words, we mean those words. And now we have an opportunity to act on those words. You must understand so let's roll.